Take two.
Two. I love it. Okay. Hey, 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 Laura J here with AYRLIE MacEachern. How are you today, AYRLIE?
I am just feeling super shiny and excited.
Yes, me as well. It is the 6th of the 6th, and it is 11 days in advance from the start of Big Heart Dance Camp, which I'm super excited to be going to for my first time. And it's actually the 15th year that you've had this going on, early. So if you can tell people who are new to you and this opportunity a bit about yourself and how it got started, 15 years is an impressive feat. So I'll start with saying
Hmm.
huge congratulations for continuing to bring together everyone that needs to be touched by the experiences you offer. And I look forward to you sharing what it's all about.
Thank you. I feel moved right now by your acknowledgement. Like I'm all glassy-eyed. It's like, yeah, I do stick to things, and I stick to people. Like I journey with people
Yeah.
through the ups and the downs and the ins and outs. And as a community builder, I feel you got to.
Yeah.
I need to keep myself growing and in check. And yeah, so I'm going to just take a deep breath because I'm just feeling into your acknowledgement, and it's touched me.
Yeah.
Wow. So Big Heart Dance Camp is it's because of the Twilight Zone, it's 15 years, but it's really 17 years. So we gathered as a small group during the Twilight Zone, otherwise known as the pandemic. Um, and so, but I am, because Big Heart Dance Camp is what it is. That's why it's Big Heart 15 this year. Because when we gathered as a smaller group, it was a different thing.
Mhm.
Um, I in my how old was I? Mid 20s. I got invited to Dance New England's dance camp and went journeying down there. One of the years in my Mango Mama, it was a '76 pop top VW van, and it was actually the longest road trip I'd ever done on my own. So that felt significant. And then DNE was incredibly significant. It just blasted me open in so many beautiful ways. And I went for a few years. And in one of those years, I was driving home with a special friend, Tanya Williams, who I've been co creating with for um, over 20 years. A big focus of hers is contact improvisational dance. And she'd be a great person to interview.
Yeah.
There I am. There I am. Okay. There I am in the moment. Like, this is what I do. I network and I connect people all the time. That's how this brain works. That's how this heart works. So I'm filling up gas, and I'm with my dear friend and collaborator, Tanya Williams, and we're driving back home, hearts wide open, minds wide open. And it's during the peak oil crisis conversation. I'm 52, not sure how old you are, so I'm not sure if you were part of that conversation, but it's kind of disappeared. And it was like, okay, well, let's have something like this closer to home, where we're not crossing borders, we're not in the need of like large amounts of fuel to get there. And so the seed was planted. DNE planted the seed. It's like the mothership, and I'm one of its offsprings. And a few years later, Big Heart Dance Camp was born, and it started out and Big Heart. So I live near the village of Creemore, Ontario. Some people might know it for Creemore Springs beer. It's a sweet little village, little community, um, and Creemore supposedly in Gaelic means big heart.
Oh, wow.
So that's the idea in terms of that was part of what was part of the naming Big Heart Dance Camp, and what I also love about this is a little side tangent here. The logo that I came up with was someone leaping, like someone's leaping off of a dock.
Mm.
or jumping with joy. And I did this chicken scratches of it, and then asked some friends if they'd be willing to work on a logo. And again, this is a long time ago. This is like 18 plus years ago. And they came with some designs, and I was like they just were not resonating. And so then I showed them my chicken scratches, and I was like, this is what came to me. And bam, they just put that into digital form. And that was the first logo for Big Heart Dance Camp. And I wasn't considering it was me jumping out. Like I just thought that joyful, it was like all of us. And then the cool thing that happened for Big Heart 10, so I made stickers and gifted those out at camp. And then for Big Heart 10 rolls around, and I'm like, oh, I want to do another sticker. And this is now Big Heart 15, so I did another sticker. So that's kind of fun. I'm now, that feels like a little bit of a ritual or a gift now that I do every 5 years. I didn't do something for Big Heart 5, but the logo that came to mind for this sticker, which has now become Big Heart Dance Camp's logo, is 10 of us, 10 of these little buddies that are jumping. So 10 of the original dancer buddies in a circle around a heart.
Oh,
And it felt like such a beautiful visual of what's become. So it took my leaping out, it took my vision and energy and creativity to birth Big Heart. And now it still does. It still does. I am the founder, the organizer, the host, but we're a team now. We're a community now. And I feel like that the symbolism of that first sticker and then the Big Heart 10 sticker is like such a beautiful visual of us, of what we've become. And there really is a core of us that love what we get up to and that come every year. And then there's newbies that come every year. And then of course there's some, because it's an annual thing, there's, things come up for people. And then they might miss a year and then come back.
mm-hmm.
And there's an ebb and flow in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little bit of the background. And Unicamp of Ontario, where that's Big Heart's home. It is a Unitarian church camp, and the Unitarian values, I'm not a Unitarian, but their values totally align with my values. And they're literally, Unicamp is 20 minutes from my home, where I live with my partner, just outside of Singhampton, not Southampton, Singhampton, on the way to Collingwood. And Unicamp is 5 minutes down the road from my family farm.
Oh, wow.
And so a little fun little background piece is, as a teenager, I knew about Unicamp, and it was where the weirdos were.
Okay.
Like clothing optional waterfront, like, and although I am a weirdo, my parents weren't, and I use that word so lovingly, as you're getting.
Yeah.
Rainbow sheep, whatever you want to call us. I wasn't really raised that way. Mm-hmm. My parents are more conservative than I am, although they did teach me the potency of community and creating community and building community. But as a teenager, I went with some locals and we went to Unicamp, and it was like, ooh, like this is where like the weirdos are. And they were playing, and this is what I remember. I don't have a detailed memory in this way, but I got this one. And the people there were having so much fun, so much joy, and playing like football with a greased up watermelon. And it was like, right. So it kind of fit into this, like, oh yeah. And when did I realize that I was one of them, so to speak? Probably in high school. Yeah. So Unicamp is a really special place. It's home to Big Heart. I've had conversations with people about Big Heart because I have a piece of land just down the road connected to my family's farm, about Big Heart being on that land. And it's like, no, other things happen there. Big Heart's home is Unicamp. We have a beautiful relationship, and it is a really special place. It has been, we had an incredible ice storm up here that you may have heard of. Massive, massive amount of damage up here. We're higher than Collingwood and Ottawa, Creemore's in the valley. We're up high on the escarpment and massive damage. So they continue, Unicamp continues to clean up. I haven't been there yet this spring, having just gotten home from travel and lots of community events. It's going to be something to be with the changes of Mother Nature and that beautiful basket that is Unicamp. Being with the changes.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to experiencing it for my first time. And the Beltane event that is part of the poster there from May 1st, we did in Copaconk where there was a lot of damage as well. And so we actually got one of the fallen birch trees and used that as the maypole for this event. And then we weaved it from the top and the bottom to meet in the middle and change the tradition so that we could actually respect the weaving of the top down, bottom up practice. So then we're meeting in the middle. So when you speak of the destruction on May 1st, we were honoring that and using one of the fallen birch trees in order to create a new sacred experience in community in Copaconk as well. So I love how excited you are by that. And
on many levels.
yeah. I didn't mean to go into that segue, but as you said, as intuitive ladies, we very much weave and flow. So if you wanted to speak to what resonates most for you from that, I'd love to hear that.
I would be happy to. So much, but a few things that first come is, oh God, like there's so much. So much I feel like I could cry. I'm like, that's something about me. I really allow my emotions to flow almost like a child. Do I have tantrums? No, I keep that, in check. But in terms of being moved by Mother Nature, by community, there's a joke about my family, how we are moved easily. So one thing, I feel differently about, when Mother Nature, Gaia, Pachamama, around her destruction over when it's human destruction. So when I came home one year and there were about 6 grandmother cedars cut down by my neighbor down on the Niagara Escarpment behind our home, I was deeply troubled and needed to move through it. I heard about the ice storm. We weren't around and its destruction and how much work, but how it sat in my heart was differently, way different than when it's like Hydro One coming across the hydro lines, just chopping down trees. So there's that piece. So you honoring that birch, you honoring that tree is sacred medicine to me. You honoring the ground up and the top down feels like sacred medicine to me. And I don't know a lot about that ritual for you, but I go around intergenerational community. I go around from the earth and what it teaches, from the cosmos and this ethereal space and what it teaches us, and the meeting. So one of the, a newer event that I host, gathering, is called Rooted in Rising. And it's a women and girls only gathering that happens in the autumn. And so that piece that you're talking about weaves into that. I feel, of course, this is all my opinion, I don't need to say that, my belief systems. I feel we need to be rooted in order to rise.
Yeah.
And to rise strong and magnificent and stay grounded. Mm-hmm. And that's coming from someone who has very little earth in their chart, by the way. I have a lot of air. I have a lot of fire. I now have a lot of water in my life through my 20-year long-term relationship with my partner. And so I know about that piece of needing to be rooted. Mm-hmm. So those are a few, and then the intergenerational piece. Our wisdom comes from all of us weaving together, and A lot of my offerings are celebratorily intergenerational. And that to me feels like real community.
Mhm. Oh, I'm so looking forward to being at this Big Heart Dance Camp experience that you've co-created with everyone that is part of your team. Shout out to jeH for inviting me as well. And intuitively, when I got the invite, it just felt like something that I needed to step into. And I expressed before we were live recording that, well, we've been live the whole time, just the recording piece of it. But in before it, just the fact that I felt the pull to come, even though I didn't fully understand, and then having the opportunity to connect with you in advance and to feel your heart and your excitability and your peace with that, and then to hear you speaking to the intergenerational community building in my own work and the manuscript that I'm finishing again because now there's extra pieces that have been brought in just even since I finished it at the end of last month, that I very much look forward to speaking to you about when we are there, because the intergenerational component is absolutely vital for us to not lose the wisdom of those who have lived and learned from the experience, and also not to discredit the value that those who have not lived as long have to offer and everything in between.
Ah, goosebumps.
Yes.
Yes, 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 and yes. And I'll pop in two directions, if I may, from that. One is a special elder in our community, Ian Allen, who comes from Ottawa to Big Heart. So it's there's definitely a decent catch basement. I would say more up here, like Collingwood and surrounding area, Toronto and surrounding area, Guelph, Kitchener are bigger pools for who is drawn to Big Heart. But we've also have people who have flown from out west, and there's now even an inspired dance camp out west. I haven't heard from Marion in a while, but she called it Big Happy Dance Camp. So Ian comes from Ottawa and is very much involved in the contact improv community and other dance communities, and has been coming. And I met him at DNE, and he gave me an incredible piece of an incredible acknowledgement slash feedback when he said a few years ago, it is so something like this. I don't remember verbatim kind of things, but the essence was, thank you so much for creating a space that I can dance with other elders, where I can dance with people my own age.
Mhm.
He's in his, maybe he's 70. And that was like, that was sweetness. That was the nectar. So he's used to being in lots of dance communities and probably maybe often being the elder or one of the older people. And the fact that we have someone who came for the first time last year in his 80s,
Oh, wow.
like this, that just melts my heart. It feels really special. And then the other little tangent I was going on was another one of my long-term projects is called Imaginarium Adventures in Art. And it grew from the Mad and Noisy Art Camp, which there's the Mad River and the Noisy River. So that's why it was called the Mad and Noisy Art Camp. And it was from the Mad and Noisy Artist Collective in Creemore, Ontario. That's when I started facilitating there. And my friend Juliet Reynolds, who is also part of the core of Big Heart Community, she invited me in and had a blast. And when the Mad and Noisy Gallery were going to let go of this incredible expressive arts camp that we had been running, I was like, no, like this is a service to our community. We can't just, because of grant money running out, we can't just let this go. Like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been part of the admin, but I had been part of creating this incredible basket. Yeah, so then it became Imaginarium Adventures in Art. There were about 4 of us who continued on. There's now just me as the admin person, but I invite other artist facilitators in. Our focus is mainly youth, and it's a unique program because it it's based on my training as an expressive arts therapist. So through the Create Institute, formerly known as ISIS, the International School for Interdisciplinary Studies, it's now become the Create Institute, and it's a 3-year program in expressive arts therapy. And and so I bring that embodied wisdom from that 3-year awesome journey into both Big Heart and other things that I organize and Imaginarium. And so it's a space for, we do adult workshops, but for mainly youth to be in that kind of energy field where we are expanding and exploring like new horizons of our creativity and our imagination. We absolutely give ideas and direction and facilitate and teach, but it's about holding space for these youth to go for it.
Yeah.
To go for it.
Wow.
And one of the mantras is that I offer is you do not need to love all your work. You do not need to love all the art that you make. You just need to keep making it.
Right.
Right? Again, breaking down the box of our school system, which, as we all know, has grown out of patriarchy and the industrial revolution, and breaking down that box and going, let's explore, let's experiment, let's make a mess. And as you can gather from who I am, and I respect you, and I know that you'll respect me because of this dance that we have going on. And so Imaginarium is a really special part of the work that I do and what I offer in the community up here. And we run camps all summer and after school art clubs and birthday parties and PA days and stuff like that. But when we've got a week of art camp, a week to journey, and they're small group based.
Oh.
They used to be bigger, but during the Twilight Zone, all of our community, many of our community spaces closed.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Laurie McDonald, who runs the Artist House in Ottawa. She's a friend, and I said, hey, any chance we could run our programs from your space? And she was absolutely. And one of our campuses has stayed there. So we've got 8 to 9 youth. So it's intimate. And what I also love that is, yes, it can be pretty, at different times chaotic, but it's not the chaos of, a whole bunch of facilitators and a whole bunch of kids. I feel like there's a thriving that can happen for both me as a seasoned and 52-year-old facilitator, but also for the youth to be in a more grounded, chill, creative space.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we don't have fun and like go totally out there. We do, but it's different than kind of the chaos of school where there could be 32 kids in the class.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And the need for really firm boundaries to contain all that energy. Whereas I'm boundaried, absolutely, but we're outside most of the time and our container is Gaia.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, in a soul realignment training that I had several years ago, there was the creative, dysfunctional, and functional creative spectrums. And where freedom is concerned, there has to be constraint in order to have freedom, because without the boundaries and the box to some degree, then how would you know that you were free of the box or out of the box if the box didn't exist? And then the dysfunctional expression of freedom would be irresponsibility, where you just go off and you don't care about the box and you don't stay grounded and all of the things that then lead us into obligation, which is the dysfunctional expression of constraint, because now we're just spending freely that which we'll have to pay back later because we're irresponsible and then sent into obligation instead of staying within the functional constraints of constraint and freedom as the spectrum to work within. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah, lots of resonance.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very much seeing this. And so for those that
I,
are watching and are super excited about the experience, I'm super excited about, and you're super excited about, if you want to speak to what's actually going to be happening and how people can best prepare for this experience we're going to share, I'm really excited to hear about this too.
there is an incredibly detailed welcome guide. Well, I shouldn't say incredibly detailed. It's lengthy, and as we know nowadays, people don't necessarily want to read lengthy things. But I do feel it's important for those um, to those that matters to them,
Yes.
right? So Big Heart is a dance. Big Heart is a dance of what you just talked about. So there's lots of benefits to free form community gatherings.
Yeah.
Yep, great. We just, it's all improv, we co create. What can also happen in those gatherings is like not lots happens.
Yes.
If you, okay, you know what I mean. I don't need to go into that. So, what was very, so Big Heart is both.
Hmm.
Big Heart has the safety of a container,
Yeah.
and within that container, loads of freedom.
Hmm.
And I feel like that is, I love that you just spoke to that. I feel like that is essential for safety
Hmm.
and responsibility.
Yeah.
So we have, and that was the difference between a Big Heart gathering and Big Heart dance camp. The 2 years during the Twilight Zone that it was a gathering. Um, I didn't take a leadership role in the way that I do for all the other camps. So we have a full schedule from Tuesday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. There is a boogie every night. There's open, quiet fireside time every night. There's a morning workshop before breakfast. There's breakfast. There's a after breakfast workshop. There's lunch. There's other things happening in the afternoon workshop. There's dinner and a boogie. So it's a full schedule.
Hmm.
And sometimes with newbies, like I did at DNE when I went, sometimes with newbies, we want to do it all. I don't recommend that, but there's lots of choice, right? So a key piece is follow your bliss, listen to your body. Because sometimes when people, I'm going to be taking a few tangents here. Sometimes when people are coming from a city environment into a rural, a country environment, all they need to do, and I don't mean all they need to do, is they need to rest. They need to sleep. They need to reground. They need to go swim in the pond that's there. They need to have long cups of tea with people. Like that all needs to happen. So there is space for that. There's lots of space for that. My partner, who loves the evening boogies, he comes to some workshops throughout the day, but he's just flowing.
Hmm.
He's the Piscean, just flowing, helping out here and there, lying on the raft in the pond. We have a clothing optional part of the pond, a clothing required part of the pond, and both are respectful of each other. So he's lying, we're lying on the raft in the sun, soaking it up. Oh, best intentions to go to that afternoon workshop. Not moving from here, right? Like, so lots of freedom, lots of incredible opportunities for personal growth and community growth. Big Heart is incredibly therapeutic. And I need to be clear, even though I'm trained as an expressive arts therapist and other people there are coaches and facilitators and therapists, it's not therapy.
No.
So, and that was the same as my 3 year program of expressive arts therapy training. We had to be in our own therapy as well as being in an experiential program learning how to be an expressive arts therapist. And I feel like it's important to name those key pieces. You're coming to camp well, healthy. It does not mean you don't have stuff going on. We all do.
Yeah.
But this isn't therapy, because if it was, the cost to come to a 6 night, 7 day camp would be in the thousands.
Yeah,
If
sure.
I was hiring a whole bunch of therapists to be there to do that. It's not. It's an incredibly affordable camp. I have sliding scales for whether you're coming for a day or you're coming for the full camp. That's meaningful to me as well. I really want to name that. And people go, oh, how much does it cost? And I'm like, dude, there are so many different prices to be able to come to Big Heart. There's our bursary, our work trade has already been filled. I'm open to barter. Like I'm open to a lot. And that feels very important to me of how do I create and co-create these incredibly rich, healing, therapeutic offerings and make it as accessible as possible to the widest possible web of people.
Yeah.
And to honor that this is my work.
Yeah.
I volunteer in my community.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are lots of things that I do where I am volunteering in my community, and certain events and community events are how I put gas in my car and
Mm-hmm.
food on my table that I'm not growing myself, and travel that I love, and art that I love. So that's an interesting dance for me too.
Yeah. Yeah, and literally this week I've been working with a body talk practitioner out of Ottawa. So the draw out that direction is very real in terms of the connections and how we're coming together, and each of our communities, in both you and I, and who is watching that has community as well. This is our opportunity to really come together in a deeper way. But the Wednesday session is because I keep on giving away all of my stuff for free and all of my energy for free. And I go to festivals in order to be of service, and all of the things that fill me and also have left me emptier, because there is an imbalance when giving too much and creating unbalanced dynamics in relationships that then don't feel even. And even though there's not an ask, there is an underlying expectation on one side or both that there is going to be a call on your ask. And I'm actually I just was speaking to somebody who said their father has done favors for the HA or the Hells Angels, but never takes one. And it's just that thing about people don't necessarily want to take something that is going to cost them more in the end, that feels a valuable piece to insert into this, because I think there is a changing of times. And so the reason I referenced this session from Wednesday is the fact that it was about changing that pattern that was sitting right on top of my solar plexus, and this whole groupthink hive mind concept of energy workers need to give it all away for free because it's the right thing to do. And that is not true if you are then having to give from a reserve supply instead of being full enough because you've cared for yourself to actually give then from the abundance of overflow.
Bam. Yeah. Are we resonating again?
Exactly. So,
And that can be, I'm guessing that you're quite a bit younger than I am. And I'm grateful that you are taking care of yourself in this way now.
yeah, yeah,
Because that shriveling that can happen, and the need to protect and reserve is real. And so how do we create that? I mean, how do we dance in this that I can continue to be of service, but to be filling my well as well? And we know, I don't need to say, but I will. We know that our well gets filled in so many ways. And right now, in the ending of patriarchy, we all, most of us, not all, still have bank accounts that need to also be part of the well that gets filled in order for us to continue doing what we're doing.
yeah.
We don't know what's ahead in terms of, are we going to go back to full barter and trading beautiful shiny shells and beads for, we don't know. But right now we're in this incredibly pivotal and huge time on the planet as we enter a new epoch, and we're discarding lots. And I mean, I don't think I need to go into politics, but do I want to discard the banking system that exists, how it does? Absolutely. It is amazing what we have. I'll speak for myself, what I have bought into, even though I am at credit unions and I'm also at banks. And so it's something. I would love to be fully at a credit union, which I'm moving towards that. And even that is, I do know. I'm gonna share something with you. And that's I don't know if that's like so cool. So this again, I'm a visionary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in my chart. Before I knew it was in my chart, like that's, I was 19 and part of the recycle club and the women's club, it was a women's group, even though at high school, like before things like this are common, right?
Yeah.
So this is my little visionary project right now. That's a little white heart. And if you can read that, it says Community Trust Fund.
Beautiful.
It has been used 5 times already, and money, good old school money.
Yeah.
This money is available. This money has been contributed by members of our community up here, and it's available to our community up here. And so it came to me, I'm like I get it's only a drop in the bucket, but that's not what matters. It's a baby step towards something bigger. When I had this thought of like, what happens? And I don't have children, but what happens, if you have kids, or if you don't, low battery, or if you don't have a web and you're ill.
Yeah.
Like, what happens in our culture? Or you're looking after a parent because there's no alternatives.
Yep.
A lot happens, and a lot of destruction happens to that caregiver.
Yes.
And so I started the Community Trust Fund. I love the name because there are those that have trust funds because their generations have been well-to-do, or maybe their parents, or maybe they've been, maybe that's not a trust fund if they've been well-to-do, but it feels like a joke and a play on words. Like, this is our little community trust fund, and you can trust that we have your back. And it might just be for a bag of groceries, or it might just be to put a tank of gas in your tank to get to work or where you need to go. But we got you.
Yeah.
And you can ask for it, and you can take this jar into our bathroom and take whatever you need out. I can deliver it to you, some money. And like, that's the world that I'm part of co-creating.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the thread on that, but it's about money and self-worth and community. Yeah. So who else that might be watching this wants to start a community trust fund? So when I have some of the gatherings here that I'm hosting, I'm organizing, I'm marketing, and I'm not charging anything because this is my service to my community, there's a community trust fund. Feel free to put in a $5. Feel free to put in a 50. Feel free to put in a loonie or nothing. Feel free to take if you need to, but it's a way that we can keep circulating energy. Yeah. We know this is energy, and we also know that it's incredibly loaded.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's incredibly loaded. Oh, it's good work, eh? I just took a breath because the work on boundaries in general, for those of us who, maybe didn't grow up with parents creating conscious boundaries, and those of us who grew up sensitive, intuitive people, it's really important work.
Incredibly.
And I can just weave that right into Big Heart.
Yeah.
Right. So at Big Heart, one of the newer offerings since the Twilight Zone, of course, we're there for each other. But a new piece is a touchstone. Everyone that's at camp has a touchstone. I welcome it if you're coming with a partner and even a really, really close friend, I welcome your touchstone not to be that person, because you have them. They're your touchstone anyways. I welcome it to be someone in the community. And our touchstones, the invitation is to meet at least once a day and check in with each other. What's bubbling up? What are you loving? What's feeling hard? And to have a space to deepen within yourself, deepen within this dyad, this with this one other person. And that came out of the Twilight Zone because people were so many people were so messed up. Whether you were following the rules or not, we were all deeply impacted by what happened, and it felt edgy when I went into, what would that have been? Big Heart 11, maybe it was. Like, I had started organizing and getting ready for that and then canceled, like so many of us had to do. So it really felt important, and it felt edgy when I was offering that next Big Heart. We are new. We are different. We have been changed as a global family. We have been changed, and the touchstone just felt like a loving little balm, BALM, to a salve to take care of our hearts.
Yes.
As we re-entered, because it's for the solstice, right? Like, it was a re-entry. Now so many things are happening, and it's exceptional how many awesome things are happening. But for many, it was a re-entry into community when not a lot was happening.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's a whole bunch of tangents for you, girlfriend.
Oh, there is a tremendous number. And I just want to offer the acronym that I created for COVID, which is the Certificate of VEX, Identity Death AI PSYOP. For the 1 and 9 is the A and the I, and everyone's identity pre 2020, which is supposed to be hindsight, was destroyed for then the life that we've been recreating while still under the false illusion the old life could come back, because that was the promise. And to the community trust fund account, I love that you've created that so that people have a practical and tangible way to feel supported. And I also say that we are all trust fund babies. We just never knew that because we've trusted the wrong carers or caregivers to provide for us in ways that they can't, because this illusionary concept of them versus us is a fiction, because it's us who step into those positions to play them while we're under the control matrix that this is outside of, because it's a community separate from the global community and the social community of the places that we live, we're most accustomed to, which is what my body of work is around in the second book that I'll look forward to sharing with you once I get there and we'll be able to complete the manuscript to actually help people get their houses in order, which is what you create the opportunity for people to do by creating those touch points, not just in the other person that is your touchstone while at the event, but to actually have the experience of being cared for as the care providers. Oftentimes, people who are drawn to an event like Big Heart Dance Camp. So I so appreciate everything that you've put together and that you've learned from your experiences, and you've persisted even when the crisis came. And generationally, if you're familiar with the fourth turning, which is about the four sequiums of generations that each have had different influences. And it's very significant because during the crisis time is when the artists are born. And that's where we're at. And so now is our opportunity to create that safe space for artists to be able to not just go on the intensives that you spoke to with Inspirium. Is what you say, Inspirium or
Imaginarium?
Imaginarium. Sorry, I heard inspiration,
okay.
and there's a tremendous amount of inspiration there, but Imaginarium, with that offering that you have for a smaller number of youth to be able to come. But one of my passions and why I'm just so excited that I said yes to the intuitive nudge to say yes is that the youth need an example of what it means to actually have safety, to speak up, to challenge convention as well as one another without being persecuted, condemned, and taken out in the process. Because the examples that they have had up until this point have been that the messenger gets murdered or persecuted and punished and taken out of the game in order to maintain the game as it is, whereas the artists are here to create the new way. So I'm so
And
grateful.
and yeah, lots of beautiful heart ping-ponging here. And I want to say the artists are born, as you said, and they're also out there all the time. So they're born, but they're also needed. So those that are choosing to live a visionary, creative life, they've been with us since the beginning of time. And I'm going to say that in those old times, they were honored as seers, they were honored as medicine community members. And so let us welcome the next generation of that, and let us support those who have already been living that journey through it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, yeah, and just big love to those of us, to those that I don't know, for lack of a better word, but just hold that torch high in the dark times. And obviously, as an expressive arts therapist and a community builder and dancer, like I know the power of community and healing through the arts. We know you. I know you know it too, and I know you know it, and we're living it.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
And you're bringing your first book to Big Heart, right? To our little mini marketplace.
Yes, I would love to.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm also excited about, meeting you. And this is what I say. I mean, sometimes we have facilitators that have never been to Big Heart. I mean, especially if I know them, then, and I know that it's a good fit, then they will be facilitating during their first year at Big Heart. But what I love and what I welcome is come to Big Heart as one of the Big Heart campers, dancers, feel into this community. And what do you want to offer? Like, what is your special spice in this big cauldron of awesomeness?
Yeah.
So come feel in without the added responsibilities and or the other hats, because I know those of us, we wear lots of different hats. Just come in and sink in. And so I love that. I mean, you're bringing your books to the marketplace. I love that that's what you're up to. But I also am so looking forward to what are you going to be facilitating at Big Heart 16?
Yay.
Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's exactly what it's all about. And part of why it was just, I realized because my first festival was actually Soulshine Festival in 2021.
Ever? Your first festival ever?
Ever. I was into conferences. I lived abroad. I was very involved with the coaching certification program that I'm trained under. And then my ex was one of the faculty members for the coaching lane specifically. And so I moved over to England in 2012 to be with him and stayed until 2015. So I got a really high level view of the program, of servant leadership, and of the whole culture of conferences and so many other high level views because I was with one of the hired guns, so to speak, but that was what he referred to himself as. And so it was interesting because I was really disillusioned by it as well and kind of stepped away. And after I sold the program for a year and a bit, after I left him and England and the program I was still really involved with. For 7 years, it was a huge part of my identity, which is now my work is around the constructs of identity and unpacking and unveiling that which has been kept hidden from us, which is in our own heart center. And yet, even with the body talk work that I've I've been doing with Monica that I mentioned, that work is really about making it safe enough and actually having an energetic spinal realignment over the last few weeks. And literally, she moved every one of my vertebrae in order to get them in line to be able to actually hold the information that's coming down, because I'd fried myself. And actually, when you're getting such high level information and then not able to fully merge it down because the system is not fully intact, it's been revolutionary and evolutionary for me to be able to have a strong foundation. And on Wednesday, she was literally saying, I see you're literally looking at your land, holding your shovel with your hand on your hip, like where to plant. And the planting is done when we come together and actually get to know one another. And so that's why I'm so, so, so grateful to be coming and to know better what to expect. And this time, I also didn't try to go in for the facilitator position before I even knew the community, because I really did want to just see what's already going on, because I know how much my own energy and expectations and all of that, which would change how I showed up, would have come in if I had have tried to reach out to go to the top without even understanding what's going on where we are.
Oh my God, I love you.
I love you too. I'm very grateful.
I mean, like, you are so embodied and profound. Like your inner knowing, and like, thank you. Thank you for your care for yourself and the work you're doing. Thank you for your care of Big Heart.
Yeah.
Dance camp. Like,
Yeah.
holy, you are such a breath of fresh air, sister. Like, and I just got on that kind of breath of fresh air. I just got an email this morning from also two people, a couple that are coming to Big Heart for the first time this year, and he's like, we can come early on Tuesday if you'd like some help. And I'm like, oh, right. I mean, and we might not need his help. I have a great setup team, but why would I not say yes, please, and thank you, and you're rocking? And so of course I did, and I'm very transparent. So I said that too. Like, this is a really beautiful, as an organizer and a host, it's really, those little things are very touching, just like you wanting to do this interview, right? Like, wow, thank you. I'm a seed spreader. I do that. And I think it's about where, I don't know lots about astrology, but I love it. I think it's about where your moon is. And there are those that plant and take care of that. And there are those of us who do this because we want everyone to bloom and grow. And 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 so I do that, and I'm getting that you do that. And I thank you for that. And I also will weave that into just a little bit about Big Heart. Is you don't, you, the bigger you, does not need to be like highly seasoned in your full glory as a facilitator teacher. I also am a conduit, a creator of spaces, of platforms where people get to shine early on.
Right.
And they might be even workshop. Maybe they shine in lots of other places, but maybe they're like hosting or teaching facilitating a workshop or a class that's actually kind of newish to them,
Mhm.
and allowing the Big Heart community, which is a loving space, to be a place where people strengthen new muscles.
Oh, I'm so excited to grow and get stronger and to meet the incredible people that are waiting in this experience of a new community to me. And for everybody that is watching this interview, feeling our hearts, seeing the resonance that we have in our first meeting, I want to also share that in Peaceful Inner Warriors United, peaceful and inner are acronyms that I broke down in my first book, which I will be bringing. So I appreciate that opportunity. But inner is individual needs necessitate emotional resilience, resonance, and respect. And when I was writing it in 2022, I realized that I had been focused on the resilience and resonance piece, but it's the respect that has been missing for ourselves and others that has led to the situation that we refer to as the Twilight Zone or the Certificate of Vex Identity, Death AI, PSYOP, or whatever else people have come to call that which was a change of the times that forecast what we have an opportunity to co-create when we come together and trust one another, because that's what that jar is all about. That jar is trusting someone to be willing to recognize there are others in need who may not be willing to ask, but that helping hand offers an opportunity for the pay it forward effect to come to the fore for them in their life, and to also see the reciprocal nature of generosity.
So you clearly have an incredible gift of words, getting that loud and clear, sister. Really looking forward to reading your book, your books. And I too, like, language is incredibly powerful in my world. And that's not new. And sometimes I can get a little, I don't want to say fixated, but I get the power and potency of language, and I'm really getting that you do too.
Yeah, yeah. I call it the land gauge because it's the land that is gauged based on the language that is ultimately applied with syntax, semantics, semiotics, and all the ways that we apply meanings to words. And even Ned noticed you say BALM very quickly as it's the salt, the salve, or the balm. And so I saw the word play, and I loved that. And there's so much resonance here, AYRLIE. I'm so looking forward to getting to meet you in person and give you a big joyful hug and dance with you. And for the final question, I'm going to ask you to just share what compelled you to stick with it when times got tough, when challenges came up, when all of the adversity that comes up when you bring personalities together that are in an expanded state, and also bringing the unconscious that emerges when we're activated by triggers to this fore, and how, as the organizer of it, you've had to handle that now 15 seasons you've been into it, or 17 if you're factoring in the gatherings. So I'd love to really hear how you persisted and stuck with it to make it to the 15th.
Thank you. Did you notice that I just kind of like moved my body a little and
Yep.
yeah. So it is a constant practice, as you well know. And it feels like so I'm going to go into here. I hope bits and pieces will be answering the question specifically. A solid, loving container, right? So we are co-creating this experience. I love the imagery of the basket being woven. Started, I think, through our friend Shelley Hanna. She may have used that imagery first, but I'm sure it's used, lots. But that the beginning, so midweek camp is for adults only, 18 plus. And I guess that the base of that basket is me in the universe, right? The next layer to that basket is the community that comes every year. They know what to expect, but they also know to expect the unexpected. And then the weaving of that basket is midweek camp, adults only. We are the beginning of Big Heart 15's basket of love. That loving container where water and air can flow through, but it's there. And then we invite in on Friday afternoon to Sunday, all ages. So from newborn up. And that's the next layer of this basket. And so having that loving, safe basket for us to play in is key. Boundaries are key. Doing my best. I'm doing my best to remember to not take things personally. And that gets easier as we get older and wiser. Doesn't mean it always happens. I I also really appreciate Maya Needham just shared with me when we had a courageous call together recently. She acknowledged how I that my she acknowledged, I don't remember exact words, but my leadership style and how it's clear and it's direct. My communication is, but it's also malleable and pliable, and I can take responsibility for my stuff, and I can learn more about what's not my stuff. So that has helped me be someone who has long-term projects like Hugs for Life that I haven't mentioned. Life stands for living inspirationally and free with each other. And life in my early 20s was my dream of building intentional community. And Hugs for Life became they became a tangible object to help us raise funds to build intentional community. Hugs for Life are fleece scarves shaped like a big hug that when you gift it to someone you love, there's little hugs and big hugs. Each time you put your winter scarf on, the hugs come around, protect your heart, keep your chest warm, and give you a hug.
Beautiful.
So that's getting close to a 30-year project. It's not a big one. I'm only online. I'm not doing shows across Canada like I used to, but I like digging my teeth into, and maybe does it have something to do with not having children and watching, I mean, I watch other people's children grow because I'm a part of their lives, but watching these projects, these gatherings grow is like watching a kid grow. And I love what I learned from one year of Imaginarium or 1 year of Big Heart or 1 year of Mad River Rocks. We host a mini music festival here at our home. Like all the pieces that can be tweaked that allow us to grow more, that maybe allow more spaciousness for me as a host organizer, like all those things. How can the kitchen at Big Heart now, we've transitioned from someone who was with us for all of camp to a new cook and a new team. How can we build and grow? And that feels juicy. That's the juice. Yes, how can we have an amazing camp and co-create an amazing experience, incredibly memorable with all the ups and downs and ins and outs, but then how can we keep growing? So I'm grateful that I'm committed. I'm grateful that I love to grow. I'm grateful that I'm a visionary. So I think all of those pieces, I'm grateful that there are those that love and respect me and themselves and come every year. I'm grateful for my partner who helps build the dance floor, literally a raised platform covered in Taekwondo flooring that is so good for the body and amazing for the joints, and brings a whole sound system and handles that, and who has my back. All of this couldn't happen without all of those people and energies. So maybe that answered it.
Yay. Well,
And
pardon?
maybe it answered it and more.
Yes, you definitely give extra, and I'm so appreciative of all that you have offered and that you will, and I'm so excited for what will come from the connection. And yeah, you never know until you go. And so I'm looking forward to going, and I am looking forward to anyone that is watching this that felt moved. The description for the event will be in the description box, so you'll be able to get your ticket and the sliding scales of your option that you choose that works for you and your family. That is what will be awaiting you when you go, and then obviously all of us who will be there. And grateful for this opportunity, AYRLIE. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. It's been a joy, and I look forward to more joy.
Yes. Yay. Definitely ditto.
Yeah.
Peace.
Thank you, hon.